right, so in this video we're going to create the screen that we see here where we're going to create a list view from our array. So that's where we're headed in this video. I guess I've made that clear. All right, let's get started. All right, so I want to draw your attention to our activity main. And in our activity main in Legacy, I want to remind us that we have this object, which is a list view. And list view is what we're going to be utilizing to generate the list that we've seen in our home screen with all of our array items in it. So let's go to the main activity. And got some notes here for us to follow along with, but let's start up here. So we've been using this line. We haven't messed with this line very much. We just sort of took it at face value. But I'm going to draw your attention to this class called app_compat_activity. I'm going to hit the control key and hover over it and click on it. And what you're going to see is this is a class that we are inheriting from. And it's this class which we've been using things like this onCreate method, and if there's certainly lots of other ones, and find view by ID and that kind of a thing. But what we're going to do in this particular example is we're going to not use the app_compat activity, but we're going to use one called listActivity. And listActivity is a class that's going to give us some nice little hand-helping things, methods to create our lists and to be able to identify which one was clicked on. So let's get started. First of all, we're going to erase this content set content view because we're not going to be utilizing this activity main right now. So I'm going to erase that. And what we need to do then is we're going to create what's called an adapter. We need an adapter, and what an adapter does is it gives us the ability to generically gives us the ability to bind our array data to our list view. So it's a data model that binds those to our collection of raw data, which is going to be our array, to our list view. So I guess the first thing I should do, I'm just going to paste, I believe, in a array. So we'll start there. This is our data elements, and in Java, the way to create a string array is I'm creating just an empty string. I don't have to define how many elements are going to be in that array, because at the time that I am instantiating this variable or this array, I'm putting the values into it at the moment that I've instantiated it. And I can do that with these curly braces. So I don't need to just tell it what size, because the size is being created automatically by the number of elements I'm putting into it. So anyway, we've created a string array called attraction, and in that array we have 5 different attractions that we saw in the beginning of our list. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create this adapter. And I'm going to come to this element because this is sort of the generic explanation of what an adapter is, and we're going to use an array adapter. So an array adapter is a class whose constructor calls each data object in the array, each of these objects in an array, and turns it into a text view. So let's start with that. So I'm going to create a array adapter. And you'll notice that it takes a generic, which is this angle bracket, and it shows a T in there. And all that's saying is that I have the ability to send a data type to a class. And so I'm just saying I'm going to utilize the data type in this particular array adapter is strings. So we're going to send it the data type string. I'll call it a array adapter and then we're going to create a new instance of our array adapter. Okay. And what it's going to need is, first of all, the context, like we've seen before. So this class, this main activity class. The next thing it's going to want is, let me just type it out. I'm going to type android.r.layout.simple. So what it's looking for in this second parameter is, or excuse me, argument, is that this is a generic layout that is available to us through the Android resources. And it's just a template of one of many different templates, just a generic template that we can use that's going to show our list view. So I'm just going to use it. We'll make our own template. We'll make our own view in a minute. But for now, we're just going to utilize one of the ones that comes with Android. So we'll use that one. And then the third argument is, what are we binding our layout list view to? We're binding it to attraction. So that's our third argument. All right, so now we've created our array adapter, which again is simply a way for us to, for the code to go into our array and turn each item in the collection into a text view and utilize this layout for those text views. So now we're going to run a set list adapter, and this is a method of our list activity. So we are running this method. Again, it's a method of the list activity, and what this will enable us to do, we're going to put our adapter in there that we just created. And so this is going to give us the ability to connect the list activities list view to the array. So this is the adapter we're using to make that happen. Utilizing that adapter, set the list adapter, meaning that go ahead and bind all those values that you got from return from this array adapter and put it into our list view. And that also is going to give us then the ability to capture what element was clicked on when the user clicks on our list view. So I'm going to pause this while I run my emulator, and we'll see what we got out of that. So this is where we're at now. We have a listing of all of our, we did have a listing. I guess I didn't quite get my emulator updated. There it is. So we have a listing of, in a list view, of all of the elements from our array. So, and again, this is just a generic layout, and that's what simple list item 1 is, this generic layout for us. It's just a template that is doing this underlining and that kind of a thing. We're going to create our own layout in a minute, but for now we have at least successfully bound our array items to our list view.